Yo, what is going on, everybody? Shri Kanase here. So, insane scaling strategies for Shopify dropshipping in 2021 and onwards. Scaling is one of the most sought after topics in Shopify dropshipping because let's face it, every Shopify dropshipper, their only dream is to scale to the moon, do $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, even $100,000 every single day with their dropshipping store. And let me tell you honestly, it is completely possible to scale to those big numbers. However, there are a few strategies which you have to kind of apply to your Shopify store, because if you just randomly try to do what most Shopify dropshippers do, and that is just blindly throw up ads, thinking that just because they're spending money on ads, they're going to be getting results and sales, you're in for a big ride. Simply because in 2021 and onward, actual marketing skills are definitely needed to get any kind of sustainable results. But in this video, I'm not only going to be covering Facebook ad scaling strategies, but also Google ads, and just give you guys some general tips on how to scale a Shopify store with help and so forth. But let's just get right into it. The first thing you'll have to do in order to find any type of success with these scaling strategies is to destroy that like button until it turns blue. It really helps out this channel and helps me put out more videos just like these ones. And just for doing that, here is a cool photo of a teddy bear as a way for me to show appreciation. But let's just get right into it. So the first thing that we're going to start talking about is everybody's favorite advertising platform, which is of course Facebook. How am I scaling right now in 2021 with Facebook ads, and how can you personally do it for your Shopify store? We're going to be going over a few different strategies for Facebook ad scaling, and these ones are the ones I'm mostly using to scale to the numbers that I'm doing currently. And if you're interested in knowing what kind of numbers I'm doing as of right now, be sure to watch the case study which I released just a week or two ago on my YouTube channel. But the first scaling method, and this name for this scaling method I came up myself, it is called horizontal scaling. Now you may be thinking, what kind of cheesy name is that, and exactly what does that mean? Well, horizontal scaling is basically horizontal plus vertical scaling. And if you're still not sure what those two terms even mean, you can watch one of my older Facebook ad scaling videos right after this one. But horizontal scaling is basically where you duplicate a winning ad set multiple times, in this case 3 to 5 times, and you increase the budget as if you were scaling vertically. So with horizontal scaling, what we would normally do is just have 3 to 5 duplicated ad sets and have them at the same exact budget as the winning ad set. However, with horizontal scaling, you increase the budget by a few dollars, and that amount is going to depend on the original ad set's budget. So for instance, I've laid it out here for you guys. If your first ad set is running at maybe $5 a day or $10 a day, what you're going to do is you're going to take that ad set and make 3 to 5 duplicates of that ad set and set each duplicated ad set's budget to $25 a day. And you're going to let it run for 2 to 3 days or until it reaches the cost per purchase. Get rid of all of the bad ad sets which are obviously not getting you the results. And then if you have any good ad sets left, that's when you use the horizontal scaling method again, and you change the budget now to $50 a day. So you make 3 to 5 duplicated ad sets of that $25 a day winning ad set, and now you change the budget to $50 for those dupes and repeat the process over and over. After $100, you want to be upping the budget by 2 times to 2.5 times. A lot of people like to go really crazy here, and after $100 a day budget, they jump directly to $1,000 a day budget. And that is something you don't want to do in 2021 and onwards, because as you increase the budget, you're directly giving Facebook authority to reach a larger portion of that audience. And believe it or not, a large portion of that audience might not actually want your product. The first few ad sets may actually be winning ad sets simply because at that time, Facebook and its algorithm just happen to find the right audience within that overall audience group. So this is not going to happen over and over again, especially with a very high budget like $1,000 a day. So what I want you to do instead is just up it up by 2 times to 2.5 times. Take it very slowly. Don't rush this. Just because you're using Facebook doesn't mean you want to rush it and take it to the moon literally overnight, because that can cause you more harm than good. But that is the horizontal scaling method. If you were thinking that that is the only scaling method that I use, you're in for a big surprise, because I also started using CBOs more frequently to scale my winning ad sets. And this is something I did not really do or even recommend before pre-2021, but now things have changed. I've been testing more and I've been finding some decent results with CBO. So there's a few ways that you can scale a CBO in my own experience. The first way is to normally duplicate the normal ad set which you have, that's a winning ad set, 5 times into a CBO with 3 ad copies, and let's say that ad set, that the original one at least, was running at about $5 a day, $10, maybe even $25 or $50 a day. What you want to do is duplicate that winning ad set 5 times into one single CBO and change the budget of that CBO to $100 per day. So what's going to happen now is that you're going to have one campaign. Within that one campaign, which is a CBO, you're going to have 5 ad sets, all for the same exact audience. Within each ad set, you're going to have 3 different ad copies, and these ad copies must be the same per ad set. So now we're going to be scaling that way, because what's going to happen is you're going to be running that CBO to one same audience, but it's just spread out throughout those 5 ad sets, and each of that audience group within that ad set is going to be shown the winning ad. And of course, you want to duplicate the winning ad only with the CBO, because we're trying to scale here. We're not really trying to test different things. So that's one way to scale. And if you do happen to find a winning CBO, that is when you can actually take the CBO to the next level very quickly. And this is something I've been doing and finding success with. Right after that $100 per day CBO, I jumped directly to $1,000 a day CBO. And inside that $1,000 a day CBO, instead of 5 dupes, I have actually 10 duplicates. Each duplicated ad set still has 3 different ad copies, but now I set a bid cap for that entire CBO instead of just letting it run according to Facebook's algorithm, because that is not a good thing to do, especially with such a high budget. And here is how I determine my bid cap for that CBO and those ad sets within that CBO. Let's say my original ad set and my original CBO campaign, this one right here, has an average cost per purchase of $50. What I'll do is, for ad set number 1 out of those 10 duplicated ad sets, I'll start the bid cap at $40, and per new ad set, I'm going to increase the bid cap by $1. So dupe number 1 is going to have a bid cap of 40, dupe number 2, 41, dupe number 3, 42, and so forth until I get to the end, and finally inserted my final bid cap, which should be 49 in this case. So what you're doing is you're taking the average CPP that you're already getting originally with that original ad set or campaign, and you're just setting that as a bid cap to this new CBO, but you're spreading out the different bid caps so that, let's say for example, within this new CBO, the algorithm decides that $42 bid cap is actually a much better option and lets you win more auctions than a $50 CPP. So what's going to happen is that you're going to be getting purchases at only $42 spent. So that is going to decrease the amount that you're spending per sale, which is obviously what you want. And this is kind of a risk-free way to scale after you get over $1,000 a day budget. But something I've been trying out more recently, and something I've been finding more success with. So these 2 things are definitely that you want to be implementing with your Facebook ads. Moving on to the second best platform, actually in my opinion is the first best, but for a lot of people this is the second best because they're having a lot of trouble getting their ad account in Merchant Center approved. But with Google, now here is where we try some different strategies. So with Google Ads, scaling is not as easy as it is with Facebook. You cannot simply scale an ad set or a campaign by duplicating it and increasing the budget. There's a lot of more things that go into scaling via Google Ads. First things first, if you want to scale via your general testing campaign, which is something I do and recommend, here is the things that you should be doing. First thing, you can increase the budget by 20% every 4 to 14 days. Let's say your budget right now for the general testing campaign is $100 a day, and you're noticing for the past 14 days it's been absolutely amazing getting you a profitable ROAS. That is when you go in and you increase the budget by 20%, in this case $20 to $120 a day, and then you wait 4 to 14 days. The longer you wait, the better it is, because unlike Facebook, the more changes you make frequently, the higher your chance of screwing everything up and restarting the optimization process, which is obviously what you don't want to do if you're already getting decent results. But that is method number 1. Method number 2 for general testing campaigns is increasing the bid by 2 cents to 4 cents every 14 to 21 days. Now note, this should only be done within these 2 scenarios. Anything else, and I really don't recommend you increase the bid, because that could heavily increase your cost per purchase, which is not something you want to do. First thing, if the budget is not fully getting spent, you want to increase the bid by 2 cents to 4 cents so that it actually starts spending the budget. A lot of the times this actually happens if your bid is not high enough and you're getting outranked by your competitor. So in this case, just increasing the bid is a very easy way to go, and it's going to start spending your budget more often, and you're going to hopefully start getting more sales along with that. But number 2, if you're super profitable and you're scaling, but you're noticing that your budget is not really getting spent, or you simply want to kind of bid a little bit higher because you're so profitable and win even more auctions at the same budget, that is the only scenario where I recommend you go in and you increase the bid by 2 cents to 4 cents, again, every 14 to 21 days. But ideally, these are the only two scenarios where you should be increasing the bid for your general testing campaign. If you don't want to go the general testing campaign route, if you want to be like a cool guy and scale via a single product campaign, here's exactly what you should be doing. Let's say you have a 3D printer within your general testing campaign that is absolutely crushing it, getting you 10 sales a day at a 20-cent bid. You want to create a single product campaign for that product and use that 20-cent bid, but increase it by about 2 cents all the way up to 10 cents. This depends on you as to how risky you want to be and how fast you want to scale. Normally, just because you increase the bid doesn't mean it's going to suddenly start getting you 30 or 40 sales just because you increase the bid by 10 cents. In fact, many times it might actually start getting you 5 sales or even 0 sales simply because the 20-cent bid was the ideal amount. So I normally would go with smaller increments. So from 20 cents, I would go to 22. Then if I get results, I'll go to 23, 25, 27, and so forth, and gradually go up as needed based on these two scenarios here. Otherwise, I'm better off just scaling via the general testing campaign because honestly, that's what I've been finding more results with. But another way for you to scale via Google Ads. Let's move on to our third and final method of scaling, but this time it is scaling generally your Shopify dropshipping store. It is not related to any advertising platform. So how can you go about scaling your entire Shopify store and start focusing on the things that really matter for you, such as running the ads? I personally believe a lot of dropshippers fail here because they have their focus entirely on the wrong thing. In hopes of saving a few cents or a few dollars, what they do is they end up taking these tasks and doing them themselves when they could be spending that time increasing the budget on the ads, focusing on the ads as a whole, and just trying to do better via the advertising platforms or even expanding that way. So number one thing that you can do is outsource some of your work. So for instance, here is how I have laid it out, and here's how I would exactly go about outsourcing if I was starting brand new and I didn't have anybody else on my team. First things first, I would outsource customer service because that is the most easiest task that you can outsource without having to train much your VA unless they're completely new to the game. And this is going to free up a lot of your time to then focus on other important things. I'm not saying customer service is not important. It's super important, but to grow the business, you need to be focusing on other things as well. And if there's somebody else like a VA from the Philippines who's already experienced with customer service and can start the work at maybe $3 to $5 an hour, that hour that you could have spent doing customer service will now be spent on more valuable tasks. So that is why I highly recommend you outsource customer service first. This is then followed by product description writing. Again, another thing which takes up a lot of time, especially if you do Google Ads. But once you outsource it, it's going to free out a lot of time for you to then maybe do product research on your own or then focus on your ads. But the third thing that you want to outsource is product research. There are a lot of other jobs that you can, of course, outsource, like accounting, bookkeeping, and so forth. However, most dropshippers really don't get to that point or that amount of success, unfortunately. So these three things are what you should begin with. But once you get to the third one, that is when you can kind of go on your own and kind of start outsourcing things you just don't personally like, because at that point, you should definitely be profitable. You should be getting a lot of results. So that is how you kind of generally outsource your store and scale that way, along with using both of these methods for these advertising platforms. However, one key note is that you want to be able to do all of these tasks successfully before you decide to outsource it. Because if you personally can't do it or don't even know how to do it properly, how are you going to expect your VA to do it, or how are you going to train them? So just for that, make sure that you know how to do all of these things properly. But if you're wanting to get more consulting or more mentoring about all of these things, or just Google Ads in general on how to use Google Ads, how to scale it from start to finish, I do currently offer Google Ads mentoring. This is one-on-one mentoring where you get to personally work with me. If you're interested in getting to know more about this, be sure to send me a message on Instagram at DedicatedYoung. But if you can find any type of value in this video, smash that like button and smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.